Howdy, this is Charles with Simply NUC at simplynuc.com, and got a special treat. This is the unreleased NUC7i5BNH, which is the Gen 7 Intel NUC based on the Kaby Lake, but it's the Baby Canyon, and the H is the tall chassis. We're going to take a first look at it today. Alright, we're going to take a look at the outside of the new Baby Canyon NUC. And just a quick thing, this one is a prototype. It's not a pre-production unit, so there's no finished sticker, and there's no regulatory stickers of any kind. This one, we have it ready to go to CES, and so we actually have Windows 10 Internet of Things Enterprise loaded and have its stickers on here. So let's take a look at it. First thing we're going to notice is that the top power button and hard drive activity LED are gone. These have been moved to the front, and so the lid is now just a plastic lid. There's no holes in it. On the front, we have the power button has been moved to the faceplate, and it has an LED built into the power button so that you can see when the power is on. And then this white rectangular box is actually a transparent cutout in the smoked plastic, and there's a blue LED in the box, and so when there's drive activity, that blinks blue. Now, if you don't like the blinking, you can go into the BIOS and turn it to be on all the time. You'll see that there's the two USB 3.0 ports, and as the previous models had, the yellow-orange one indicates that's the high current charging port for a tablet or cell phone. Otherwise, these are just standard USB 3.0 ports. And then you see the TRRS headphone jack. This is a standard 3.5 millimeter 4-pin type connector, so you can plug in a headset, or you can plug in headphones, stereo headphones, or a microphone. And we also have these two little holes are to a pair of dual microphones that feed into the unit, and this would be for low quality microphones that are needed for like Cortana and Windows 10, where you want to talk to an application but you're not really recording, so you don't need real high quality. Not that these are low quality, but it's just in those cases where we really don't need the high quality. And as you can see, this side there's no nothing but the ventilation. Large ventilation. This is one change. The ventilation holes are much larger than previous. You can see on this side we have the Kensington lock hole, and we have a micro SD card. Now, the Celeron Pentium units, previous units, had full-size SD cards. The core products will have a micro SD card slot, so you can just plug that in. And now let's look at the back. Alright, so starting from the left side, we have our DC power jack. This is a standard 5.5 by 2.5 millimeter positive tip DC power jack. And the unit, this is the Core i5, so you can expect it to consume between 17 to 22 watts of power. The box comes with a 65 watt power brick. That's mainly to be able to power USB devices, and if you want to add a hard drive inside, that takes some additional power. Continuing on, we have our HDMI port, and this is actually a HDMI 2.0, so you can do 4K at 60 Hertz. Next, we have the Intel Gigabit Ethernet port, and this is an Intel chip driving that. I believe the i219, and so you have all the standard features you would expect in a good quality, high-end Gigabit Ethernet adapter. Next, we have the two USB 3.0 ports for the back. And then the last thing we have is the Type-C connector. Now, I'm going to refer to this as the USB 3.1 Type-C connector because that's the physical form factor. Electronically, the Type-C connector is USB 3.1, which is 10 gigabits, compared to the USB 3.0 5 gigabits. This port also is Thunderbolt on the Core i5 and Core i7 products. On the Core i3 products, while this connector is present, it doesn't have Thunderbolt. It's only USB plus DisplayPort. But on this model, this being the Core i5, it is a full Thunderbolt 3 connector. Also realize that Thunderbolt 3 comes on a Type-C connector, where Thunderbolt 2 was the mini display port, or MDP connector. So this supports external graphics boxes using the PCIe lanes. It also, you can plug in an MDP monitor or hub and allow you to daisy chain up to 3 monitors off this connector. The NUC is capable of driving 3 monitors total, and you can drive 2 4K screens from the Type-C connector and 1 4K off the HDMI. All right, taking a look at the inside now, we're taking off the bottom plate, which does not have the 2.5-inch dry bay in it as the previous generation. The 2.5-inch dry bay is a separate metal piece that can be lifted out, set to the side. You can see the SATA data cable and power cable to the drive tray. This one has a hard drive and it's ready to go to CES, and it's a loaded system. Here we have the 2 DDR4 2133 SO260 laptop style DIMM sockets. Simply NUC always loads with matched pairs when you order 8, 16, or 32 gig of memory. For the 32 gig configuration, they put low latency gaming DIMMs in, and these are Kingston. And then for the SSD, we have a BiWin 80 millimeter long. The BiWin is some of the highest performance SATA drives that we've tested. You can also load PCI Express SSDs in. And while the system does support 42 millimeter and 80 millimeter, we've discovered that the 42 millimeter are very low performance. It's just not worth the price savings. Also under here is the, I believe it is the Intel 8260 wireless module. That's 802.11bgn, 802.11ac, and Bluetooth 4.2 low energy. You can see the 2 USB 2.0 ports for powering accessories or functional lids. And we have our microphones. The 2 microphones have a cable coming over to this connector, so this is for those microphones on the front panel. And there is a 10-pin header missing. It's a 2 millimeter header missing a pin that I suspect is for a serial cable, even though this chassis isn't punched out for a serial cable. But that would give us some capabilities for adding perhaps a serial DE9P connector to this system. All right, I think that covers the inside of this unit. Thank you very much.